So my question is, what's the grift?
Yeah, what is the grift? You tell me, because I've lost money doing this.
I'm saying you're supposedly raking in the big bucks, man.
Can you steelman that their argument though? Because like when it's all said and done, I and that's what
Look,
I asked. I asked that on Twitter, and I didn't get any
say,
responses
right?
or evidence. Go ahead.
So they say that because I switch topics, I'm a grifter, and because I don't play all the games I talk about, I'm a grifter. Well, that you just described every gamer, right? We have opinions on games. We're not experts in all of them. And you talked about, gatekeeping and stuff like that. I've got 350 hours in Final Fantasy. I said right out that that's not a lot for an MMO, but I'm called a grifter and a tourist for that. Well, guess what? If you look at the player stats of how many people tried Final Fantasy and then stopped playing, I'll guarantee you the vast majority of them did not even complete ARR. Right.
I spent a lot of time and guides on trying to get somebody past level 30, because what we would see in our stats and our numbers is that somebody would hit to level 30, they change their job, and then they would just start over at level 1, and they do that over and over again, and eventually they're like, yeah, I think, and then like they never experience anything else because they get caught in that loop. And so that's something where I was like, get to cap. It's, like get a character or a class at least to these different milestones before you consider swapping it out and playing something else. Otherwise, you'll get looped into a very small piece of the final game. But go ahead.
Yeah, my main is Dragoon, right? And I think it has the best single player arc story of any of the classes in ARR. And then, but I joke that my main is fishing because I'm higher level in fishing than I am as Dragoon. I've completed everything up to the ultimate weapon. I finished ultimate weapon. I had a lot of strong critiques about those final dungeons. Luckily, they changed them, and everyone, for the most part, is happy with those changes. Where I stopped was I hit the wall with the what is it, the 7th Umbra seal, whatever, those patch quests, right? After the ARR and before the expansion. And I hear it gets really good in the expansion, but those are such a slog, man.
It's a slog.
Those are such a slog.
And the one advantage of WoW's method is that if something ages poorly, people can just not do it.
He could change it today. I mean, he changed the last dungeons of ARR for the better. There was such a big problem before, and I had a miserable experience with that. And I think I tweeted at them. I said, change this and that, and other players did, and there was enough player momentum that he actually went and changed it. He can change these too, because that's a wall. And
I
Mog
Station,
as they came out. I used to tweet a lot about Mog Station, how awful it was, and they finally changed that. And it's still awful. I went to resub, and I got an error message saying I couldn't use my Steam wallet. Please contact customer support. When all it was I need to put more money in my Steam wallet. They should have said, "Oh, your Steam wallet can't cover this." But instead, I got a message that there has been a serious error, and you need to contact customer support. Like, I just want to resub,
that feels accurate. They had also an issue with like Visa cards, as well recently, and so there's been people who. Chris's rule, his wife gave him this rule: you're not allowed to unsub from this game, because I don't want to have to listen to you complain about how to get resubbed.
The Mog Station makes me so mad.
It's so much better than it was, though.
Like, I storm around the house. We live in a pier and beam house. I'm stomping around, making all this noise. Why won't they just take my money? And she's like, I don't care about this. Will you how much does it cost us annually? So I take 2 to 3 months off every year. She's like, for $25, you could just be quiet.
I'm there with you. Mog Station sucked. It still sucks. It's a lot better. The final dungeons and ARR had huge problems. They fixed those. The 7th Umbra whatever quests, they suck. The patch quests suck. So to call me a tourist is really strange, because not only have I played a decent amount of Final Fantasy, no, I'm no expert, right? I'm casual in Final Fantasy, but so are the vast majority of players. But not only that, I kind of like helped this genre come into being, right? I was like there leading the charge on WoW. I was there creating this. I know a lot about this. So it's a ridiculous accusation to call me a grifter and a tourist and there's nothing about MMOs or these games, because that's factually on its face wrong. And as far as the other thing, grifters change topics. Well, yes, because DEI is everywhere in gaming, and I'm pushing back against it, and I need to talk about it, even if it's a game I don't personally play. But I can highlight what other gamers are saying about it, the vast silent majority that don't get represented. That's what I'm here for, to amplify their voices. And I'm here to call out bad mistakes when they are made, like in Helldivers in the recent patch. And what am I supposed to do? Stick to one game for the rest of my life? I can only talk about WoW. I can only talk about Diablo. I can only talk about StarCraft. And that vastly ignores the amount of, and we went over this earlier in the podcast, the amount of sheer experience I've had through the golden era of gaming, the founding of these mega studios, right? Being a part of all that, the expertise, decades of experience designing, leading teams, creating these billion-dollar franchises. I think I've earned a right to talk about this, and I'm not saying that players don't have a right, but you shouldn't be saying that I have no right to talk about this when you don't have, any of the experiences that I've had in the industry. You get to talk about it. I get to talk about it. That is not grifting. And I am losing money doing this, literally losing money doing this. The amount of personal attacks and everything else.
I'm going to highlight a couple of different things in chat because one of the things that I think is then attached to it, I think this will be kind of a good conversation to have. And I know we're usually over long, so if anybody needs to dip out or whatnot, let me know.